Well, hello, students of business law. Welcome to the spring semester 2020 of BUS 300. In this short video, I'd like to use it as an introduction to the course requirements, how we are going to be set up on Blackboard. So I'm going to take you through the communications that we're going to use in this course, some tips and pointers for your online success, a little bit about the learning modules. Of course, everybody wants to know about assessments and how we're going to get started. So in terms of communications, there's going to be communications with me and communications with other students in the class. So let's start with how you're going to be communicating with me. My name is Professor Pat Papadeus. My first name is actually Panayota, and you will see that as how it's listed when I make announcements and when you receive emails. Speaking of emails, one form of communication that we will have is by email. Now, I'm going to show you that I would like you to email me from Blackboard and not from another application that you may use. The reason I ask students to email me through Blackboard is it tells me who you are and also what course you are in. Now, this doesn't preclude you from doing the proper email protocol when you email a professor at the college or anybody really in a professional context, and that is to have a subject line that tells me the nature of your email and then clearly explaining what the issue is in the body of the email, and then signing off with your name, and always remember to include your student number. So these are going to be the requirements that you email through Blackboard, and you have those set things. Now, email may not be the best form of communication depending on what it is that you want to communicate about. If the item is personal to you, so for example, if it's about your grade in the class or feedback about your work, that should be an email. But every other form of communication that deals with the course, what are the requirements? I need clarification on instructions. I didn't understand, the topic on tort law, something very specific. Those kinds of questions are relevant to all the students in the course. And for this reason, we have another place to post those, and that's on Blackboard for something called a Q&A board. I'm going to show you where that is in a few minutes, but that is the place where I want students to be posting their questions about the course, because really the answer to that question is for the benefit of all students. And this prevents, the time that it takes to respond to individual emails when in fact this is something that all students in the course should know. The other advantage of using the Q&A board is that another student may know the answer or think they know the answer. It doesn't matter. If you think you know the answer to another student's question, please reply to it. And this way we build a learning community together. The last form of communication that we're going to have is, I call them virtual office hours or class sessions, as they will appear on Blackboard. So I'm going to show you where that is in a minute, but for this class, I have set aside the time every Thursday from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. for a live session with you. Now, these are not mandatory, but I highly recommend that you attend them because they will correspond to the beginning of the learning module for that week. So I'm going to show you how that looks in a few minutes, but our class essentially, the schedule starts on Thursday. And so we can begin that learning module with an in-class virtually live session where we get together, and this way I can point out any information that you need to know, and also you can ask questions as we go along. So please try to make those sessions. Our first one, and I would like everybody to join us for the first one for sure, is this Thursday at 10 a.m. All right, let's head over to Blackboard. As you can see, when you enter this course, the landing page is right here at announcements. One of the things to note is that all Blackboard courses are administered, designed, and managed by the individual instructor who is teaching that course. So every Blackboard course has a different design. In this course, you will always land coming into the announcement page. Generally speaking, it's important to know what announcements have been made since the last time you checked Blackboard, which shouldn't be too long. But anything that is timely or important information, I will also be emailing you. And that email is not separate from this announcement. It is drafted as an announcement, and then I simply choose to also send it to you by email. So one of the things that you're going to want to make sure is that because we're using your St. Clair College email address, that you always have that, whether it's hooked up to your smartphone so that you get notifications, but you want to make sure that you have regular access to your St. Clair College email account. Now you'll notice here on the left that the first few items are the communications areas. So you can always go back to announcements. This is where we will access the virtual class session. I will also be sending a link out by announcement, therefore email, every Thursday morning, so you can directly click on that link to join the session. But click on this when you're browsing through Blackboard, getting to know the course to see what's there. This is our Q&A board that I mentioned, and so if you click on that, it'll take you to the Q&A board. I'm not going to read to you. I expect that that is a skill that you're coming into the course with. So I would like you to read all the information that is posted and read it carefully so that you understand all these elements. Now, once you get into the Q&A board, or the forum that we call it, the room where we have these discussions, and by the way, that is not a graded forum. This is not a graded forum. This is the one that we're going to be using for our own course communications. You'll notice that you can start a new thread here. You can click to see what has been posted here and then reply to it. But notice here it says subscribe, and I would like every student to click on subscribe, just like I'm about to do right now. Now I am subscribed. What this does is, when you are subscribed to a forum, then you will receive any post that anybody makes, whether it's me or another student, you will get that by email. This is a wonderful feature. This basically eliminates the need to constantly go into Blackboard just to check whether something has been posted to announcements or to the question and answer board. You will get it by email, so be sure to subscribe. All right, and the last communication area is Contact Professor. So here you will see a little bio about me, but go up to Send Email to Professor and click on All Instructor Users. Now, I am your only instructor in this course, so when you click on All Instructor Users, it will only come to me. So here you see the area to post your subject line, the body of your message. Remember to add your name and student number, and it's as simple as that, and you submit and off that goes. All right, we will also have communications with each other. So as I mentioned, the Q&A board is going to be a place where we're going to have a learning community of conversations about the course. But we will also have 4 assigned discussion boards in this course. In other words, those are for assessment and they will be graded. So there will be 4 separate discussion boards that's going to be accessed under assignments. That's going to be under a different area, and that's going to be very clear. Our first discussion board is going to start in week 2, so there will be much more information about what the requirements for those assignments are and how you will be graded. Let's take a look at some of the tips that I think are important for you to know to ensure your online success in this course and generally. One of the things that I think is always important to know, and sometimes it surprises me that students don't know, is how much time should be invested in a particular course when we take it. So let's take a look at courses at St. Clair College or any college or university where there is a credit or an accreditation next to that course. Business law is a 3-credit course, as are many of your subjects. That means that the instructional time is 45 hours. And what the rule of thumb is for a 45-hour course, you should be investing 45 hours into additional self-directed learning. So if it's a 30-hour course, it would be 60 hours altogether. What that means for us is that in a 45-hour course, a student should commit 90 hours on average to that course. This translates to 6 hours a week in a normal 15-week semester. But we don't have a normal 15-week semester. We have a condensed 12-week spring semester, which works out to 7.5 hours a week. So I want you going in understanding that your online learning success requires a real commitment to time. And so you're going to need to use this time for sure for your readings. I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, from your textbook. Some video resources that I will be posting, the virtual office hour or class sessions that I will be having on Thursdays for an hour, and the online exercises, assessments, and activities that will be there in addition to the testing for the course. So that is a time commitment that you need to plan and you have to manage your time for. I recommend that you ensure that you've updated your calendar, that you have specifically set out the times that you're going to devote to your various courses, or this course if it's the only one. That's up to you to manage your time. And I always recommend what I call a semester plan, so that you bring in all the requirements from all your courses if you're taking more than one, or if you have a full course load, to make sure that you map it out early, because planning ahead is very, very important. It's important for us to manage our study time with all the other things that are happening in our life. You're not unique. I have a life. Every other student in the course has a life. So we have work obligations, family obligations, all sorts of things going on in people's lives. So we all have to manage our time, and we have to balance our studies within that. And planning for this at the beginning is very, very important. Also important is having, in an online environment, a devoted space for where you're going to do your studies. Obviously, you're going to need a computer. You're going to need good access to the internet, particularly around testing time. You want to make sure that you have no internet connections. You have a strong signal and connectivity. So a computer is a necessity in an online course. This makes sense. But beyond that, you want your workstation to be a place that is devoted for your studies. That's the place where you are free from distractions. You turn off your social media and your notifications, and that's the place where it should be free from distractions. And that might mean when we live with other people, whether it's roommates or family, that they too support us, and that they know going in that these are the times that you're going to be studying, and to support you in what you need, and having those conversations now. So the skills that you're going to need for sure are reading carefully. I'm not going to read to you. I expect that the things that I post you will read carefully, and you will see this in the first week. I have posted a lot of information. I want you to read it. I'm going to in a moment talk about a scavenger hunt and exercise to make sure that I point you to the things that I want you to read and that you explore them. And yet, despite best design efforts, there will be the student who emails, who says, asks a question that is clearly, had they went through the information, would know it. So I'm not discouraging you from asking questions, but it's very different to ask a question where the answer isn't clear or isn't there, than to ask a question because somebody didn't bother to read the information. So this is an adult college program. Read the information. Let's start there. Follow through with the written directions, follow through with the assignment instructions, and of course, always feel free to ask questions those are probably questions for the Q&A board, but it helps for us to know that we've searched for those answers first. This is a copy of the syllabus, and this is available on Blackboard from a quick link on the Blackboard menu that says syllabus. So this is what you're going to use for planning out the entire semester. I'm going to come back to the syllabus in a few minutes, but you will see that there are 11 learning modules weekly, and you can see in green that those are your test dates. So enter those test dates now in your calendar. They're fixed, and so you want to be available every Thursday at 10 o'clock because we will have either a class or that will be the time that you will be doing your testing. You will notice that the assessments are also there, also what chapters from the book are going to be required. You will also see here that I start the class, the date always starts on a Thursday. So week 1, even though we're starting early now to get you orientated, the actual course and the material, the substantive things that we're going to start with are going to start on Thursday. So this is not an option. This is a required textbook. You cannot succeed in an online course without the resources and the materials that are required to achieve your success. So absolutely, one of the first things you should be doing is ordering this textbook, acquiring this textbook. If you can find it used and in times of COVID, nonetheless be able to acquire that in some way, that's fine. But either way, you're going to have to acquire it. On Blackboard, in course information, is the information for how to do that. And you have 2 options. One is through the campus bookstore, if it's a hard copy print version that you want, or also through the publisher. And in fact, the publisher, if you order this week before June 4th, there's 20% off the hard copy print version. For any student that is not in the Windsor or Ontario area, so I know that we have students that may be in another country, you may not decide to do the hard copy print version of your choice. I think that the better choice at that point would be to the online digital version, which you can again get through the publisher. So that information is all available to you on Blackboard under course information. You'll notice that I am one of the co-authors of this textbook. In fact, the first chapter that I have posted for you on Blackboard is a chapter that I wrote. So I hope you appreciate that you have the benefit of having the instructor teach you who also wrote the book. Let's take a closer look at learning modules. As I mentioned, there are 11 learning modules, and the first section, the first 3 weeks, are going to concentrate on the foundations of law. We're going to talk about the foundations of the Canadian legal system, what it means to operate in a common law legal system, the definition of law, the categories of law, understanding the foundation of the Canadian Constitution and the various levels of government that make law. So all of that, the core process and alternatives to dispute resolution, including minimizing legal risk, which is a focus of this course, all of that will happen in Unit 1. Or in the first 3 weeks, the foundation, and that's going to lead to our first test worth 20%. So there will also be a discussion board in that section. After we come back from our first test, we head right into contract law. Contract law is a very, very big area of the law. Sometimes there's courses, 15 weeks just on contract law. So we're going to do an overview of the fundamental concepts of contracts, including some statutory applications like the Sale of Goods Act and some consumer protection legislation. So that next section of 3 weeks will be followed by a test on July the 9th for 20%. The next unit is an area of law called torts. Now, torts are a civil wrong or a private wrong. Obviously, we're going to learn a lot more about that if this is new language for you in those 2 weeks, week 7 and 8. followed by the tort law test for 20%. We will have 1 week to study intellectual property, followed by a test just on intellectual property for 10%. And then we're going to round up the semester with forms of doing business and employment law with the final test worth 10%. So you can see, and I'm going to get to assessments in a bit, but 80% of your marks are on tests and 20% are on discussion board assignments throughout the semester. Again, you will see from Blackboard that you have the ability to access all the folders, and you can see by just looking at the names of the folders when you should be reviewing them by. And you should be reviewing them before the next Thursday morning start again of the following week. So it tells you the date. Of course, you shouldn't wait until the night before to do it. So plan out your week and you do it anytime within that week. There's the flexibility for you. But stay on track, because if you fall behind, then you fall behind in a very serious way, because we have a lot of testing as well. So by clicking on all units in the Blackboard area, you can see all the folders. This does not mean that there's content in all those folders. The content will be updated every week, and so we're going to pace it out every week. If you just want to get to the unit that we're at, from the Blackboard menu, you will be able to see what week we are in. So we're going to be heading into week 1, and that's the one that is showing on Blackboard right now. Now, I pretty much reviewed assessments with you. We have 3 tests worth 20% in the first 2/3 of the course, really, with 2 tests worth 10% at the end of the semester that come a little quickly at the end of the semester. But I think it works easier because those are such big areas of the law. Intellectual property law is big and employment law is big. And so to combine those 2 for 20% would be much, much more difficult. So we're going to break those up. And of course, there are 4 discussion board assignments worth 5% each. A lot more information is going to be provided to you. 2 things I want to note. The tests are open book. They're going to be multiple choice true false with some short answer questions. You have the ability to refer to your book and to your notes and all the study materials that you've acquired while you've worked through those learning modules. But they are individual assessments. There is no collaboration on the tests. Any communications with anyone else or any unauthorized use of collaboration during the test is considered academic misconduct. Academic misconduct will be taken very seriously in this course. This is a law course. This is a very important rule at the college and a very highly regarded rule in this course. Do not do it. They are individual assignments and individual assessments. The online discussion boards are going to be collaborative because we're going to be in a group and having a discussion, transparently so. We're going to be having conversations there. So mind you, if you're going to use outside resources, you're going to have to cite your sources. I'm going to talk at great length about that so that you're very clear about those requirements when we assign the first discussion board, which is in week 2. What you need to know also is that any missed assessment, whether it's a test or a discussion board, results in a 0 on that assessment. There is no makeup. If you have any difficulties in advance that you know of your certain requirements in the course or your personal situation, then you need to email me and we need to work that out in advance. There will be no, I missed the test and will you do something for me? There's nothing I can do after the fact. I certainly can't start a discussion board makeup assignment for you. It requires a group and it requires an interaction with other people. So I can't create a makeup discussion room that I put you in so you can discuss with yourself. So missing it is a 0. And once again, the time periods in which these assessments take place are on the quick view syllabus from your Blackboard menu. Discussion boards are open for a period of time. A discussion is not a due date. There's not a due date. There's a close date. It will open at a certain date and it'll close on a certain date. But the assignment, the participation of that interaction needs to happen over a period of time. So over a period of 2 weeks, for example. You will not do good on a discussion board if you wait till the last hour of it being open so you can post something, because no one will have an opportunity to interact with you. So a lot more again when we get to discussion boards. All right, let's see how we're going to get started. So you found this video because you went to orientation start here. So you started in the right place. Let's talk about what needs to be done as soon as possible, preferably before we start the substantive material of this course on Thursday, launching that with a virtual class session. Order a copy of your textbook or acquire a copy of your textbook as soon as possible. I do have your first chapter posted so that you're not disadvantaged by having to order it and wait a couple of days for delivery, if that's what's happening. If you order digitally, it's available right away. Either way, you need to have a copy of that textbook no later by next Thursday. So you're already at start here, I imagine. There's going to be a scavenger hunt. That's your exercise, your orientation exercise. There's a document there. When you open it up, it explains very clearly what you should be doing in that document. There are 10 things I want you to find, and you're going to find them in a variety of ways. You will fill out your scavenger hunt form. You will submit it. There will be activities that you have to do along the way. So you will see that all in your scavenger hunt document called Scavenger Hunt Submission Form. Join the class on Thursday, plan 10 o'clock. I will be sending you a link that morning that you can quickly access. And then after that, we head into Learning Module Week 1. So, actually, here is your first scavenger hunt item. So when you open up your scavenger hunt form, you will see that it asks you something from this video, and here it is. The word is jurisdiction. It's a word that we're going to be referring to and studying in our first session in week 1. Jurisdiction refers to authority. The power to make the rules, the power to enforce the rules that we're going to call law. So that's your first scavenger hunt item. Good luck with that, and I'll see you on Blackboard, and I'll see you on Thursday morning at 10.